Yo guys, this is Cob, and in this video I'm going to be talking about which macros I use, my key bindings, and how I bar switch. And I'll also include my add-ons at the end of the video and talk about why I use them. First thing that I want to say about my macros is that they're not that complex at all. They're mostly pretty simple. I'll go really fast over my best macro first because it's the most obvious one that you should have. It just combines your DPS trinket with Dark Soul so your nukes hit that much harder. And you also free up an extra bind by having them both assigned to one key. Next are focus target macros. These are also pretty simple, and there's a ton of ways that you can modify these macros, using things like shift and control modifiers. But mine's just a simple focus target macro that I can use to quickly silence or CC a healer without having to switch target. And the last kind of macro that I use is the Mouseover macro. Again, there are probably better ways of switching targets that I should be doing, but this is what I'm doing at the moment and it's a pretty nice alternative. These macros basically mean that you don't have to target someone to land a spell on them, but instead you just hover your mouse over either their nameplate or their character portrait. It's a really nice way to use the spell Havoc, just so you don't have to switch targets back and forth all the time. You can just mouse over your intended target and go about your merry way. It's also really good for pet silences, for fears, your case of Enfeeblement, Banish, any spell that you feel could benefit from not having to switch targets back and forth. Now this next thing is a topic that's mentioned quite a lot in my videos, so I thought I'd cover it in this video too, and that's switching action bars, or bar switching. I myself had a ton of practice to master it, but I learned it quite well after only a couple of days of actually using it, so it's quick to learn if you want to give it a try. Bar switching is basically having two sets of spells, one on your primary action bar and then another set of skills on your secondary action bar. If you go into Keybinds, you can see that you can set a bind to swap bars, which is the first step. Set it to a bind that you can easily hit, which for me is shift and up arrow, because I play using the number pad. Then have a play and make sure it's all working good, make sure that the bars are switching properly. Then put abilities on your second bar that you don't use quite as often as those on your main bar, but it's still pretty important to keybind. If it seems hard to do this at first, mid-combat, just have some practice at it, do it one spell at a time if it helps, and from then it's just really down to practice. There's a couple of additional things that I want to talk to you guys about if you're new to keybinds. The first being, just keep it simple, learn one spell at a time. When I was learning my binds back in Burning Crusade, the first spell I bound was my Shadow Fury. And it felt really weird at first, but once I realized how much quicker I could throw it out there at people, I pretty much just started binding everything I could. Anyone can learn to keybind, and you just got to commit to it and it will improve your gameplay, I guarantee that. And secondly, about bar switching, it's one of the ways that you can play. I personally don't have a Naga gaming mouse and I don't use very many shift or control keys, so I don't have an insane amount of keybinds. However, using bar switching means that you actually have two spells bound to one key. They're just on different bars. This basically means that you're doubling the amount of keybinds that you have, just by learning the bar swap. Okay, now I want to go really quickly over my add-ons. My casting bar add-on is called Quartz. I use it just because it looks really cool, and it is also fully customizable. It also helps out my videos, as you guys watching can easily see which spell I'm casting thanks to the icon at the side of the bar. Next is an add-on called MoveAnything. It can be a pain to configure this one properly, but I've used it to increase the size of my arena frames, which helps me see what my enemies are casting more easily. And it also means that it's easier for me to hover over enemy portraits and use my Mouseover macros. Then there's Interrupt Bar. It's very similar to Duped, and it just shows your enemy interrupts here. I have it set to hidden so the interrupts only show up once they've been used and are on cooldown. It's a really nice add-on to have when you want to get off a Chaos Bolt and you need to know when you can freecast. And lastly, my most recent add-on I downloaded is Lose Control. This one covers an enemy portrait with whatever CC they are currently in and lets you know at a glance how much longer they'll be sitting in that CC. It's again really useful for things like Arena. So that's it guys, for everything to do with UI and macros and all that kind of stuff. I play with a really minimal UI overall. I don't like using many add-ons. My macros are pretty basic and I'm playing with a numpad and bar switching. So all in all, I think it's fair to say it's a pretty unorthodox playstyle. So I hope this helped at least some people. I just want to point out that I'm not advising anyone to start playing with the number pad. I only use it because that's how I learned to play and I'm way too stubborn to change my playstyle after 4 years. So anyways, stay Destro guys and gals, and I'll see you all in the next video.